Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Brave Enough to Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Marcus, and I know it looks kind of different in comparison to any other episode, but I kind of wanted to do something a little bit different. I kind of wanted to change the scenery. Instead of doing it at my desk, I kind of wanted to do it on the sofa, give it more of a casual feel since we're family. I wanted to feel a little bit more like family. Um, and today I kind of wanted to talk about something um, about family, actually, and about how sometimes um, your family isn't always going to be what's best for you all the time. And just because people are members of your family and the things that they may say and do might not be in the best interest of yourself, sometimes family can be toxic, for lack of a better word. Um, and that can happen to the best of us, whether it's family members who are um, abusive, whether that may be mentally, emotionally, physically, verbally, or, in the other case, sexually as well. Um, and it can happen to the best of us. And just because people are your family does not give them the right to torment you. And it also does not mean that you have to continue to deal with, if you're able to. And I completely understand that's not always the case. Sometimes you can't get away from situations. But just because people are your family does not mean that you have to stay around these type of people. You know what I mean? Have to continue to deal with the troubles that they may bring you. Um, like for instance, let's say you're dealing with a family member who may have an issue with alcoholism, and the traumas that they might have in their lives come out because of the alcohol, and in turn they take these things out on you or other family members around you, and it becomes a normalized situation, and people tend to kind of excuse those behaviors because, oh, that's Uncle George, or that's Grandma Susan, or that's just your dad, he's like that, or that's just your mom, she's like that. We love them, let's just don't worry about it. But then the behavior continues. Um, it gets amplified because of the alcohol, and now those traumas get passed down to, let's say, the people who are on the receiving end of those actions, whether it be children, siblings, spouses, and things like that. And the cycle does not break, because now someone who might have been living a quote unquote normal life is being affected in the long run, and now maybe they turn to alcohol and they do the same things and they repeat the actions that were done onto them. Same thing with sexual abuse, um, which is terribly unfortunate, but it happens. It happens. Hurt people, and you'll see situations in cases where that happens to people who were abused in that fashion, and then they go on to do the same things. I'm not saying that's the case for everybody, and that doesn't always happen. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times, people who do abuse others will abuse themselves and dealt with those type of issues themselves. And I say this conversation, but as a man, a lot of times, um, I go to mental health. I see a therapist every Monday, and I talk about a lot of the traumas and stuff that I dealt with as a child. Not, nothing extreme, but um, I was verbally abused, not by my parents or nothing like that, but by a family member who I was around frequently, all the time, every day, someone that I loved. And I looked at as someone, usually that person is supposed to protect you. Um, and constantly the verbal abuse, the emotional abuse, I'm never good enough, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, calling me every name in the book, saying I couldn't bring friends around them because they did the same thing to my friends surrounding me. It's like, man, why is this person in your family like this? What's up with that? Why why they like this with you, why they like that with us is unwarranted. And then, it affected other members of my family as well because we kind of didn't know how to show emotion towards one another. We knew we loved each other, but it was never physical where you would hug and say, "Hey, I love you," or even just kind of say, "Hey, I love you." You knew they loved you, but you weren't used to saying it because of the type of environment you grew up in. And so I say that because it affects me in current time and I work on it constantly. Um, like, for instance, with my wife, I don't necessarily um, say I love you as much as I should. And I love her to death. I would give my life for her. Um, but I don't reflect it as much as I should, not because I don't feel that way. I don't reciprocate because we come from two different backgrounds where she comes from this super extremely loving and expressive family, whereas I don't. And it just doesn't feel natural for me to do that. And the thing is, I try, I'm working on it because at the end of the day, everybody needs love and everybody needs that love to be reciprocated and shown. You know what I mean? Not just said, it needs to be shown. And I know that because of the way that I lived and I've grown up, that you still, at the end of the day, you have to make a change. You have to make a difference in it. You have to say, hey, the buck stops here. I'm going to turn the ship around and I'm going to right the wrongs that were bestowed upon me, so that, let's say we have kids down the road, that I'm not teaching my kids the same thing that I came up learning, in that they learn to love and reciprocate and show emotion and stuff in the healthy and emotionally intelligent way. Um, and like I said, I say this because it's like, it's hard to kind of realize that, it's easy to see it on the outside looking in, but when you're inside, it's hard to say, oh, well, it's just how they are and how it is, where honestly, it's not normal. And sometimes it takes someone else on the outside looking in to kind of point that out to you. But if there's ever in a situation where family members make you uncomfortable, it's okay to create space and set boundaries. Tell them, hey, look, I don't like how you're treating me. Hey, look, I don't like how this is going about and how we're processing this. I don't want this to be this way. And set boundaries. Tell them, hey, I don't want you to speak to me this way. I don't want you to treat me this way. I don't want these things to happen. I know that's not always the case and it's not so simple. I understand that. But if you can do that, if you can take that step, do it. Now, if it's something more, serious and extreme, look for resources. See if you can get, professionals involved, whether it's, medical professionals, whether it's the police, anyone. Try to get someone else on the outside involved, a professional, someone that you can help you guide you out of that situation. But something that you can, what I'm saying is about situations that you can manage um, with like conversation. Try to go about that. Set boundaries. Say what bothers you. Like, for instance, if you've tried to have those conversations and someone's not respecting your boundaries, I'm sorry, but cut them off. Cut them off. Stop dealing with them. Now, if you're in the same home, I know it's a different process to kind of go about that. But if you're not living in the same place, cut them off. You set your boundaries. You said what you had to say. You told them how you felt. And say, hey, look, I don't appreciate this. Could you not do this? And if they don't respect it, they don't respect you. You have to respect you. If you don't respect you, nobody else will. So if you realize that people aren't respecting you, take that as a cue, as a sign to say, hey, okay, you don't respect me, then we're not going to have this relationship anymore. We're not going to have this dynamic, whatever it is. Set those boundaries. Let people know that things make you uncomfortable and that you respect them, so they should respect you. And if they don't reciprocate that, and if they don't show that, you have to make a business decision what's best for you, for your mental state, your mental health, your emotional well-being, your physical health, and so on and so forth. Make the decisions, make the changes. And like I said, I know it's not an easy 1-2 step process, but progress is a slow process. You have to make the steps in order to get to where you would like to be. And it's kind of like that sometimes. Like I said, I don't want to spend too much time harping on this because this is something that I'm actually currently going through. Um, and I think if I continue to talk about it, it makes it kind of hard to talk about it without going into specifics and details. And I don't want to do that. But like I said, don't be afraid to set boundaries. Don't be afraid to tell people, hey, I don't feel comfortable about what you're doing. I don't feel the love and affection, because at the end of the day, if you do not set the boundaries, if you do not make the changes, you're going to make the same mistakes, or it's going to be a detriment to you in the long run. It's going to affect your relationship with people who have nothing to do with this. It's going to affect your relationships with your loved ones, your work, things that you like to do, your hobbies. Your life will change because of the toxicity that is being poured into your cup of life. So, if you are dealing with some things like that, reach out to someone, speak up, set boundaries, do the best that you can. And if you cannot do those things, seek professional help, whether it's mental health spaces, medical professionals, or even the police and things like that. But in the meantime, be brave enough to talk. And I hope to speak to you again soon.